In a recent episode, I talked about how a big percentage of the small business owners in France were earning the equivalent or less than the equivalent of minimum wage, according to an article that I'd read while we were over there. And it just got me thinking about the fact that some people are kind of just waiting for somebody to come and rescue them, and it it's just not part of the way as a business owner. It's just not going to happen that way. In fact, on our flight home, when I was on my computer, I saw an email from somebody who was basically presenting me with a proposition. They're like, well, hey, why don't you do our marketing and set up our ads and run our ads and do the follow up, and then we'll give you a percentage of the revenue that you generate. And I thought, this is the exact example of somebody looking for somebody to come save them, right? They're asking me to come and rescue them from the things that they're not willing to do themselves. And it's if you're not marketing, if you're not if you're not training your staff, if you're not building relationships with clients and doing great work and you don't have good retention, it's your responsibility. And whether the outcome is good or bad, frankly, that should be pretty liberating. I think when I was just ready to kind of move away from working in a university setting was when this concept really hit me. We had just finished fifth at the World Series, and it was the best, not just the best baseball season our university had ever had. It was the best season for any men's sports program in the history of the university, and stood as that for well over 20 years. And and soon after, my budget got cut because they made the budgets for our program, and then like the men's soccer program, which didn't win a conference game, they had to be even. And there were a couple other programs in that same threshold that had to have essentially all the same budget. And that was kind of an example where the university was kind of saving the ones who were struggling and punishing the ones who were maybe doing a little bit better. And I thought, man, that's just not the environment that I think I'm built to operate in. Some people are great with that, but as a business owner, nobody is coming to save us. And I thought that was wonderful. I thought that, it's a wonderful opportunity to kind of forge your own path and create your own professional destiny. And it's a little counterintuitive though for us, right? Because we grow up, we've got parents who will come to our rescue in some ways. We've got teachers and coaches that give us structure and tell us what to do and give us deadlines and accountability. And once you go out on your own as business owner, it's a little bit like, you're the pioneer. You're having to create the structure. You're having to assemble the resources, and you can't just wait around for somebody else to tell you what to do. You said, okay, I took the responsibility. Now you can work with me or somebody else in the coaching world, and they can give you direction and guidance, but it's your business. It's your, ultimately the responsibility falls back to you. And if leads don't come through the door, it's your responsibility. It's your fault. If they're not converting, again, your responsibility. If your staff's not being developed, your responsibility. And if that bothers you when I'm saying that, you probably need to do a hard look as to whether or not business ownership is something that's going to be a positive experience for you, right? But if you find that liberating, you're like, hey, I want to bet on me. I want to, um, you know, I want to be the one who the buck stops with, right? The the one who, yeah, I can solve the problems. If I'm not getting leads today, then I will go and find solutions, or I'll find people that have solutions, and I will lean on them. Now, when I say no one's coming to save you, that doesn't mean that you don't get help from other people. It doesn't mean that you don't find coaching or outsource things, or have employees or business partners or whatever else. I mean, I'm doing this podcast right now, and Paul, that manages the video and audio stuff that goes on in our world, I wouldn't be doing it without him. But again, it's not ultimately whether or not the podcast gets done is on me. And I think that if you want to be successful as a business owner, you've got to really embrace this stuff, because it's really easy to become very reactive and just put out the fires that show up in your inbox, or walk into your office each day, or just deliver the training sessions that are on your schedule, and not be proactive in doing the things that you need to do to move forward. Not be proactive in doing the things that in some way seem optional in the moment because they're not urgent. But if you don't do them over time, you pay the price. So, I just wanted to spend a couple minutes in this episode talking about the fact that, no one's coming to save you. No one's coming to save me as a business owner. And hopefully you embrace that. Hopefully you find that as liberating as I do. As liberating as the people in our boardroom group, or our Project 500 group that thrive, that are doing great as business owners, our private clients that are generating, really meaningful amounts of new clients every month, and generating wealth as a business owner. They all kind of fall into that, hey, I want the responsibility on my shoulders. I want it to be on me. And they take that personal responsibility, and they win because of it. So no one's coming to save you, but if you look in the mirror, the person capable of saving you is right there.